Well, hello there, kiddies. Retro Dad. It's the new year, and I've been waiting to do this video, and I got a big update and a big reveal to talk about. I'm going to reveal my big secret that's been hovering around since August after this. So what's the big update? Well, here's a clue. Are you stumped? I don't think you are. I sold my collection. Whoa! Hold on, time out. Don't leave the channel yet. Let me explain what happened. Back in August 3rd, 2017, I got one of my most coveted games I wanted for that NES set. Well, hey kiddies, Retro Dad. I have something truly amazing in this box. Now, I was going to open it, but I decided, hey, I'll wait, and I'm going to show you guys. So, look at that. There it is. I got it. Panic freaking Restaurant. I was ecstatic. I couldn't wait to get it. It's a game I've been trying to get for years. It slipped through my hands at least twice. No, actually 3 times as my hand says. I think it's actually twice, really. And I finally got it for a great deal, and the cart was minty. And I shot a video at that time, the same day I got it. And the video was called Don't Panic About NES Prices. And about a week later, I got some terrible news. And a family emergency happened, and I needed some capital, and I needed it quick, and I was kind of desperate and ended up having to sell my collection. Now, I didn't sell everything. I did keep about 12 Super Nintendo games. I kept about 22 Genesis games and 3 NES games. So technically 4, Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt, Link's Adventure, and Zelda. And this cart, a blank one. No, it's not blank. It's actually a 10-yard fight, and I got it for a review in a few. 20-something days later, after getting my most coveted game yet for the NES set, I had to see my collection go. Now, I sold things I never thought I'd sell, including my childhood games and some of my favorite NES titles. I sold my Demon's Crest for Super Nintendo. Here is the kicker in the crotch. That family emergency didn't actually happen. And I sold my collection. And for months, I went through many different feelings. First, there was August. I can't believe it. It's gone. A stack of NES games. Here. My over 200 Genesis games. What do I have left? 15, 18, 12 Super Nintendo games. My deluxe set, all gone. And that's called overacting. Then September, when I realized that I sold everything, and I kind of had a breakdown. October rolled around, and I was falling apart just like the leaves. Hey kiddies, Retro Dad. Who am I even kidding, guys? I was depressed and sad. And then Christmas came around. I asked the big guy, "Please, Santa, please give me some games. I've been such a good boy this year." He didn't deliver. The saddest thing is I sold things that I did not mean to sell. I sold my Nintendo Powers as well. And that's how come another reason I haven't done the Nintendo Power episodes. I started trying to work on them in August. At the same time I was working on all those other videos. And I sold them. And I don't know how it happened because I had them separate. Something else that wasn't meant to be sold, and I'm not sure how it got into the pile, was my Sega Nomad. One thing that was not sold at the time was my Virtual Boy. Okay, one system that was not sold was the TurboGrafx 16. I even got some games for it, even one at the expo. You might be going, what about your big old towers that you had full of games? What happened to those things? Well, there's a funny story with that. I started moving things around. I moved my arcade unit to where my wall of gaming was. I moved my slot machine, my Resident Evil slot machine, next to it. And I was moving both of the towers, and one collapsed right on top of one, smashing into it, and they both broke apart and pieces went everywhere. So two of them went bye-bye, and I was gonna keep one of them. One of them already had a little bit of damage to it, and I was like, let's go ahead and get rid of this one. I'll keep the nice one. It didn't matter. The ugly one felt jealous of the nice one, decided to destroy it. So they both went out and had to toss them. So we're in volume 5 or season 5 of this show. So we're gonna do things differently. We're gonna do some collecting videos, some prices videos. But as I continue on with the show, we're gonna do things a little bit differently. The biggest changes, we're gonna try to do weekly videos, more about video games itself than about collecting. We're gonna kind of bring back reviewing a few in a different format. It's gonna be like reviewing a few video highlights or video shorts, about 5 minutes and under most of the time. We're gonna talk about a video game a week. We're still working on that Game Boy video, and I might have to update the video. That was one system that stayed pretty much unscathed. I had about 100 Game Boy games, ended up buying a lot over the summer for that video. I think I topped out at 245 or 250, and now I'm back past 150. I sold about 80 of them, most of them $1, $2 Game Boy games, a lot of junk games. There's a couple that were so expensive that I sold, but I have a lot of the expensive ones still. Not the most expensive one, I will talk about that in the video. I have a lot of the mid-tier to $100 games, and we'll talk about that in the video about prices. Speaking of Game Boy, we're going to do a lot of comparison videos with the Game Boys. I think it's a system that's not talked about as much. So I'm going to look at the Game Boy versus the NES counterpart or the Super Nintendo counterpart, and sometimes even the Sega Genesis counterpart. And we're going to compare those. Those are going to be like hopefully every other week videos. But like I said, the weekly videos will be, like kind of the review in a few type. And that will be starting in February. Give me some time to get these videos done. Plus, I'm working on another show that has nothing to do with video games, one of my other passions. Plus, I'm working on 2 other film type series. So that family emergency did not happen. And starting in October, I started to re-get some games. Now, it's so weird because it's like starting all over, but I'm not going for a licensed set. I have about less than 100 NES games I really want to get. Mighty Final Fight, for example, Bubble Bobble 2, both G.I. Joe games, Gun Knack, Wacky Races, Kid Clown. Some more expensive ones, and Panic Restaurant again. But I'm going to start off strong with the video game Swap Meet, a true collecting video. It's kind of fun starting over, but the prices are ridiculous. Now, I haven't gone to stores in a long time looking at some of these games I've had for years in my collection, including like 40 games I had since I was a kid. So I got back into buying games because I felt like, man, there's games I really wanted to play. Because at night, for me, it's a de-stressor. Oh gosh, Retro Dad, how come you just don't play an emulator? Well, I'll tell you what. I have an emulated Xbox, and I do play occasion games on there. It's not the same as playing an NES, Super Nintendo, or Sega Genesis. It feels weird, and some games do not work properly emulated. Big example, Punch-Out or Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Even the NES Classic has problems with lag on that game, and I felt the same way with an emulated Xbox. Because I can beat Mike Tyson's Punch-Out playing it on a system. Hell, I beat Mike Tyson's Punch-Out when it was on Animal Crossing. And that's a game we're going to talk about later on this year, the original one. So let me show you what I have currently. The top loader stayed with me. and so did my action set. And I still don't know why I got rid of all my NES games. That was the most important thing for my collection, because it's my favorite console of all time. And I still very much love the NES. But I kept this, I kept my action set, because the back of my mind is like, you never know. So it's a good smart thing too, is end up buying more games for that system. Now, I did not wait in line for this, I did not pre-order this, because during that family emergency period, this was the last thing on my mind. But since I had the money from selling my collection, I was like, I paid someone really not that bad of a deal. These were going for $80. I only paid $20 more and ended up getting an SNES Classic. Ended up finding an SNES Classic in the wild as well, and I paid retail price, and I traded for one of the games that I regret getting rid of during this whole process. I told you, Final Fight, I was going to get you. One of my words I said many years ago for one of the expos, and I can't believe I let it go. But I traded up. I got Final Fight 3 again, and this was in an X-Rental box. So technically this is a box that was sold at Hollywood Video. It does have some of the manual, and it does have the rental game. Now, the Final Fight that I had was a lot mintier copy, but in some ways I traded it up based on the box, and I got it for a little bit under retail for the fact is I traded it straight across for SNES Classic. It was October, and I always play one of the Castlevanias for the Halloween season. I didn't have any. It was blank. I got Castlevania Complete in the box. Now, it's not as good as my previous box, and even the label is the later label Nintendo released for their games. I had the black label, I think. There's some issues with the box. I try to stay away from boxes now because I don't want to get caught in that trap, because one thing I spent a lot of money on the last couple of years was getting NES boxes. Now, I got some great boxes, some rare boxes, and I had a whole wall covered in boxes. For the Super Nintendo, I ended up getting Final Fight and Final Fight 2 again. So, got the trilogy again, which I'm happy about because these are great games. Pause for a second. Let's talk about August 3rd numbers. How many games did I have? My archive says that I had 686 unique NES titles, about 10 repeats, 4 away from a complete Tengen set, and I was only missing now 15 licensed NES titles. After trading some stuff in to get Bonk's Adventure, I ended up having about 137 Genesis games and about 95 Super Nintendo games. Welcome back to So Wrong's Retro Collecting. So I got back Kickmaster. It's a strange title game that I actually really like. It's uncommon, and it can go anywhere between 70 to about 90. I got it for 60. At the 2017 Expo, I got Felix the Cat again, because this is a great platformer, and technically I really need it for that Game Boy video as well, because there's a Felix the Cat for the Game Boy. And I got Bucky again. Now, this is a game that has skyrocketed in price in the last couple of years. It's starting to trickle down a little bit. I think the last time it was maxed at 130. It now goes about 100. I got it for a lot less than that because I had a coupon and I used it, and I'm not ashamed to say I got this one off of eBay.
Go croak some toads.
I've tried to stay away from boxes, but occasionally I came across some boxes. I usually walk away from them, but both of these were pretty cheap, so I ended up picking them up. I don't think they're complete. I think they're just in the box, and I hope I don't get back into doing box stuff. But I am planning to get some box stuff for like the Mega Man games, which I also got with the exception of 5. This is actually one I technically never owned, and I found it the other day, and I thought the box and artwork looked pretty cool. I got it for a really good price, and it's a complete in the box Super Nintendo game. I used to have a lot more of these, and this is the only one I have. I try not to go after these originally anyway, and I'm still kind of avoiding these, but it's one I never owned, and so that's pretty much it. I'm going to show you guys, but you can see in this time-lapse video, after a while, my collection started to grow again. I'm not going after everything. In fact, one thing I have to be conscious of is family time, money, and space. So it grew from nothing to 140 NES titles. My SNES stuff grew from 12 to over 30. It sort of feels like deja vu again. It's like I traveled back in time to 2011, early 2011, and I only had about 100 or so NES titles. I kind of feel that way. I kind of feel the same excitement as a younger collector. But at the same time, I'm much more careful. I know for a fact I'm never getting the koi games or click-based games because I'm never going to play them. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned. And if you haven't subbed, sub. We have a lot more content coming out. So have fun. Go game. See you later. Thank you guys so much for subbing to this channel and watching the content.